Have you ever wondered what makes a character just stick with you? I mean, really unforgettable. It's not always about the clever dialogue or some big dramatic backstory. Today, we're diving into this really cool kind of subconscious technique that screenwriters use to make their characters pop. And believe it or not, it all comes down to choosing their color.
Right? This is the big one, isn't it? If you're a writer, you're always asking yourself this. There are so many stories out there, so how do you make someone that feels brand new, that feels, real? Someone who the audience is still thinking about long after the movie's over. It's a tough nut to crack for sure, but there's a fascinating approach that can give you a serious advantage.
So here it is, the core idea. You gotta think like a painter. Imagine assigning each of your main characters a specific color that just symbolizes them. Each person gets their own special hue. And the real magic starts to happen when all those individual colors begin to blend and contrast throughout the story, creating this unique emotional palette for your whole script. Now, of course, as writers, we have a whole box of tools we use, right? We think about how a character looks, how they talk, what little habits they have, but adding a specific color into that mix, well, that works on a much deeper, more symbolic level. It's all about expressing their true inner essence. Okay, so what do we actually mean when we say character color? Because this goes way beyond just, deciding your hero wears a red cape. This is a deliberate, powerful screenwriting technique. So let's break down what it is and how it works. The key word here is deliberate. This is not a random choice. It's a conscious decision you, the writer, make to build this symbolic link inside the audience's head. So every time that color shows up with that character, it subtly reinforces who they are, their personality, their job in the plot, or even just what they're feeling deep down.
And honestly, this quote from our source material just says it all perfectly. Characters in a scenario have their own unique color that symbolizes them. It's about giving each character an identity that isn't just explained in words, but is felt, visually and symbolically. That color literally becomes their signature.
So this technique is super versatile, and it pretty much breaks down into two main uses. On the one hand, you've got the functional use. That's all about making things clear for the audience. And on the other hand, you've got the emotional use, which is where you get to paint a really vivid picture of a character's inner life. Let's dig into the functional side first.
So how can a color be practical? How can it serve a real purpose in your story? Well, this is all about using color as a tool to clearly define what a character does and why they're even in the story to begin with. Hero stories are honestly the perfect example of this. I mean, think about something like the Power Rangers, or even the different colored lightsabers in Star Wars. Each hero has their own color, and it's tied directly to them. And that's not just for show. It's a visual shorthand that makes their special abilities or their role on the team instantly recognizable. That's absolutely crucial when you're juggling a big cast. So how do you actually do this? It's a pretty simple three-step process, really. First, you just assign that specific symbolic color. Second, you make sure to consistently use that color to represent their unique role or their special power. And the result? You end up creating this clear, almost subconscious connection for the audience, which really pulls them deeper into your world. All right, let's move past just what a character does. Now we get to the really good stuff. Color is an incredibly powerful tool for showing us who a character is on the inside.
This is where the technique gets really nuanced and interesting. You can use a color to represent a character's main emotion, or maybe their secret desires, or even their psychological state. It's that classic writing advice, right? Show, don't tell. This is a way to communicate their whole inner world without a single line of dialogue.
So how does this actually work? Well, you could anchor a character to a core emotion with a color. Maybe you have a really melancholic character and they're always associated with shades of blue or gray. That gives you a focal point to explore that feeling more deeply. And from there, you can show a whole spectrum of emotion. A bright, fiery red could show passion, but a dark, murky red could suggest some really deep, suppressed anger. See what I mean? So we've seen how color can be functional, how it can be emotional. But what's the big payoff here? What does this all add up to? Well, it's all about adding these rich, complex layers and real depth to your entire story.
Here's the real magic. This all works subconsciously. Your audience might not even be aware you're doing it, but on some level, their brain is making that connection. Every time they see that character and that color together, it reinforces everything they know and feel about them. It just creates a much stronger, more lasting bond.
And yeah, that's really the bottom line. Like the source material says, this becomes a truly important tool for any writer. It's a pretty simple concept, but it can totally elevate your script, helping turn a character that might feel a little flat into a living, breathing, three-dimensional person.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. To make your characters really stand out, give them a unique symbolic color. You can use that color functionally to make their role and abilities super clear, and you can use it emotionally to show us what's going on inside. At the end of the day, it's a straightforward but incredibly effective way to add a whole new layer of depth to your storytelling.
And that brings us to the final question, one for you and whatever you're working on right now. Think about your main character. If you had to pick just one color to represent them, what would it be? And more importantly, what does that color say about who they are and the journey that you're about to take them on? It's a really powerful place to start.